The following is a Spirit Street production.
Man, college football got off last night. I don't know if we want to say that it got off to a bang. There wasn't that many great games, and even the games that were close, I'm not sure it was good football. But what we're going to talk about today, man, I'm excited. We got Kelly in Vegas talking about some of the Big 12, some of the odds of the games this weekend. Let's get into this. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Big 12 Insiders. Again, this is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. And today we have a special guest, Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, how are you doing today?
Hey, it's week 1 of college football. I'm so happy it was back. I am so exhausted that I went to bed during halftime. I only suffered through the first half of that Colorado game. Lots of hype surrounding that team once again. Still no defense. We're going to find out tonight if a couple other teams like TCU are going to play defense. Oklahoma is kind of that team that I have some question marks about. I know they're only facing Temple, but we'll see how it ends up being for them in SEC play. I know this is a Big 12 show, but we're still going to all be very happy when those teams finish middle of the pack SEC. The Big 12 looks absolutely top heavy. There's three of us sitting at the top, bunch of teams in the middle, and of course, a couple of those teams at the bottom.
Yeah, and Colorado's one of those teams at the bottom. Let's not kid ourselves. We know what we saw last night. It doesn't look any different than what it did last year. Not any different. Their pass rushers are allergic to pass rushing. Offensive line have they just refuse to run.
Listen, I'll give them a pat on the back. Shedeur Sanders is always going to find Travis Hunter to make at least 3 or 4 big plays a game, and that is going to win them a few games. But if it becomes a track meet against a team like K-State, whose defense should still be really solid, against a Utah big boy defense, it could be really, really ugly for this Colorado team this year in the Big 12.
Yeah, the 5.5 win total, that is what I saw everywhere. 5.5. Yeah. I'd slammed the under on that because I don't think.
+120.
I
Me
said
too.
If Colorado gets to 5 wins, Deion's a magician because I just don't see it. I don't see it.
The fact that they got to 4 last year when the win total was 3.5, they got a couple of nice sneaky wins. They won a couple games they shouldn't have won, most notably as huge favorites against in-state rival there, Colorado State. Look, I'm not saying that Colorado can't evolve into a good football team once again, but I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Nope. And I don't think Deion's going to stick around to get that to happen. So.
Oh, you think Deion's going to jump ship when his sons, go to the NFL?
Here's the thing. I've said this from the beginning. Deion's there. Look, I think he's got good intentions, but I think when his sons leave, I think he's going to leave and he's just going to say, well, you know what? It's medical reasons. And if you watch Deion walk around, you can understand. I mean, the guy doesn't move around, and having those 2 toes removed, I mean, that's a big deal. He doesn't move around like a guy that's healthy, and I just don't think he is. And I think that's his out. You know what? I'm not healthy.
The Urban Meyer excuse.
Time for me to leave.
Yeah.
So, but let's get into this a little bit. First things first, let's talk about this Heisman. Look, there's a lot of people in the Big 12 that people are talking about could possibly win. There's a lot of running backs. Avery Johnson, a quarterback from Kansas State. Is there anybody out there, smart money, that people should put some money on within the Big 12 this season?
I'm going to throw my buddy Bill underneath the bus right here. I get a text from him the other day. Will Howard, we just bet him to win the Heisman. I said, what? And my boyfriend goes, and I'm talking to him about it, and he goes, how the hell do you know so much about this Ohio State quarterback? I go, he was K-State's quarterback last year. And he goes, oh, okay, that would explain it. And I said, hey, listen, here's the reality. When you have a program such as Ohio State, and the aspirations are literally college football national championship or bust. They're very similar to the Texas of the world, Alabama's, Georgia's. I get it. Even Oklahoma probably still has some of those ideas. USC fans, you have these big name programs. And if you don't win a national title, the season's over.
Right.
We all love Will. My favorite Will, Big 12 championship game Will, right? We saw electric things from him. Baylor game Will, when Taylor Martinez got hurt. I told my buddy to the left of me, I said, he goes, oh, thank God. You know, he's like a Baylor fan. And I go, oh, no. The kid that's coming in, is better. And he's like, wait, what? And I go, it's going to be a problem. And Will played his ass off.
Yeah.
But here's my concern with him winning the Heisman. We know that Oklahoma State 2-3 interception Will is looming in the wings. Now,
Yes, he is.
albeit he should have a really solid offensive line. Albeit he's going to have better weapons than K-State receivers, right? You should. You have more money than God at the Ohio State University. But at 14-1, I just don't see it. I do not think that they're going to give Will enough credit, even if he goes in and plays 10 games lights out, wins the Big Ten championship game for them. I don't think they'll give him the Heisman. And because I just don't think, I think it's kind of that Colin Klein mentality. Remember, they gave it to Johnny Football. We all watched the Johnny Football doc, and what happens? Everybody's like, why do we give this asshole the Heisman? Well, all of us K-State fans were asking the same thing.
Right.
The reality is there's a multifaceted thing when you want to look for the Heisman, and marketability is huge as well. And I don't know if Will has it. That's not a dig on Will. And I will say this, I hope he's got a little bit of thicker skin than he did when he was at K-State, because we all know Ben Sinnott had to run to his rescue on social media. Yep. Ohio State fans are some of the worst fans in the country. They do not care if you're a 19-year-old kid. They don't care if you're a 45-year-old man. They will eviscerate you. No holds barred. Let's go down the list, though. So also 14-1, Quinn Ewers. I'm not buying the Texas hype. I bet Texas under 8.5 wins. I don't think that Quinn Ewers is a gamer. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen him be bailed out multiple times throughout his career. And we all know who's waiting in the wings there in Austin if he were to falter one game, and I think that would cost him the Heisman. Carson Beck, absolutely no value there. Obviously, everybody expects Georgia to just to be able to run back another national championship. I think they've lost a lot, not only to the NFL. They've got some legal problems. And when you lose that sixth-year senior that we all saw with those guys with the COVID year, teams take a step back. Now, should have Georgia have probably been in the national championship last year? Yeah, but they should have won the SEC championship game. The one that is most perplexing to me at the top of this list is Dylan Gabriel for Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand all of the love in this number. He is currently plus 600 or 6-1. So if you bet $100, you win $600. We are asking an Oregon team, new conference. Yes, fine, it's the Big Ten, but it doesn't matter. Dylan Gabriel has been on a quarterback carousel. I mean, what is this, his third school?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you want to go with teams that have more of a focus in the quarterback position. I will say this, full disclosure, when the Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas opened up Avery Johnson, I bet him 80-1 when I was there for the Super Bowl. They didn't take very much money on it. So when it came back, I came back to Florida, I bet him here at the Hard Rock 50-1. He's now 30-1. The reality is Avery doesn't have any more intrinsic value as far as a mathematical perspective goes. He's not going to win the Heisman. K-State would have to run the table, which they have a very easy schedule and could do. They would have to win the Big 12 championship game and get into the college football playoff.
Yep.
And I think he's too young. I think they're going to hold that against him, and we've seen him do it before. Unless he is Johnny Manziel-esque, I can't believe I brought him up twice on one show, just an electric freshman. I mean, he has that ability. We know he does. I think he has the marketability as well, but I think at 30-1, there really is not a ton of value left. And if he makes the top three and I've got an 80-1 and a 51 ticket in pocket, all right. Now, on to a couple other guys. Cam Rising at 30-1 at Utah. Cam Rising might be as old as me. I mean, this guy's been playing college football forever. Plus, as far as marketability, we know he's come back from injury.
Yep.
So they love these storylines, right? These like crazy kind of storylines. Like, here's what happened to Cam. He's overcome all this adversity. Boom, Heisman. I think if Utah can win the Big 12, get into the college football playoff by that voting time, I think Cam Rising, I think we're going to see him in the top three. I think 30-1 holds some real value. And of course, you can't discount a USC quarterback, Miller Moss. Why? Because that's all Lincoln Riley does. He got Caleb Williams a Heisman, and Caleb, we're going to find out this year in the Big 12, Bears under 8.5 wins, the NFL, Bears under 8.5 wins this fall for me. We'll see if he doesn't come crashing down to earth. But listen, did Caleb deserve to win the Heisman last year? Sure. I can make an argument that he did. I think that his team overall wasn't great. I think his leadership abilities were not great. But again, you have that marketability. You have the character, and people want to vote for you. And that's what we're looking at. So do not discount Miller Moss for USC, especially if they can win outright Sunday night in Las Vegas.
See, that's the thing. I think that game, it's not getting a ton of pub right now. But as the weekend goes on, it's one of the bigger games out there. I just feel like, Kelly, a lot of people don't believe USC is going to be very good. And I think that's what it is. They don't think they're going to be good, and they think LSU is going to roll over them. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think USC is better than what people believe. I think and plus, I'm just not a big Brian Kelly guy.
Nope. That's exactly what I was going to say. If I have to pick coaching, if it comes down to coaching, if we're talking a coin flip on a neutral field, which is what I made it a 3-point game, and you give me Lincoln Riley, you give me Brian Kelly, I'm taking Lincoln all day.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into some of these games here in the Big 12 and then take a look at some of Friday's game. First of all, let's just say this. A lot of these games right now, the spreads are so big, it's just like, but I like it because it comes down to the end. You got that walk-on guy that's out there he's missing tackles all over the place, and that line is 35.5, and you're like, please make a tackle.
We saw it last night in the Missouri game. That field goal was the differentiator, and you saw people going absolutely nuts if they laid the huge wood with Mizzou, who looked pretty good. Yes. I know they're not in the Big 12 anymore, but I'll say this. I think I might have to be nice to Eli Drinkwitz this year.
Oh,
I know.
He was on the verge of being fired last year to now they're talking about him being one of the better coaches in the SEC.
There was a game, I'm not going to pinpoint just one person for that loss, but there was just a really dud of a K-State game that year. I hope the play calling's a little bit better this fall.
Yeah, don't get me started. But moving on. Look, last night everybody covered, except of course Colorado.
Yeah.
But I thought that was easy money. There was no way that. First of all, a lot of people thought Colorado was just going to outright lose the game. But I didn't 10.5. I just thought, no, I didn't bet it because I'm like, I'm going to stay away. But I thought it was easy money because I didn't think there was any chance that Colorado was going to cover that.
If you don't play enough defense, the back door is always open. And that's the concern. And there's several teams that we saw last year. USC, back door was always open. TCU, back door always open. Again, Colorado's that team you don't want to get in a shootout with. Because if they can make one stop, and that was the difference last night. Some really bad clock management later on in the game. I happened to catch that this morning on Twitter, and I thought, Dion, what are you doing? But they got out by the skin of their teeth. They did not get the cover, though.
Brutal, just brutal. So looking at it tonight, look, TCU tonight, they're going to Stanford. I'm not sure how good Stanford is. TCU on the road, minus 8.5. Over under 59.5. I don't know. I think TCU is going to win the game, but I don't necessarily like either of those, to be honest with you.
As I mentioned, let me pull this up. I want to pull up some data on this TCU team. As it stands right now, the line is now coming in the direction of Stanford. It opened 10.5. We're seeing it down to 8 in some spots. So I texted my buddy who's a TCU grad and I said, excuse me, what the hell is going on here? This is a Stanford team that was bottom of the barrel last year. Somehow the ACC decided to survive, to revive them. I don't know why. Would have much rather taken Oregon State or Washington State, but that is beside the point. Then you have this Horned Frogs that is 2 seasons away from the national championship game to last year, 5-7. I mean, talk about a drop-off. I understand they lost some guys in the NFL, including their starting quarterback. But out of that 5-7 record, they only covered the spread 3 times. That's not good.
No,
that means that they were so far below the power rankings of the bookmakers. Look, I get why they're a big favorite here. And Stanford is not some ATS powerhouse either. But if you're asking me to pick, it makes sense, like you said, TCU to win the game. Stanford does play a little bit of mouth mash defense. That is like their old school moniker. If you remember when we went to Stanford, that was the issue.
Yes.
A few years back, that was not very much fun. And because they're only giving up 20 points a game in the last 5 seasons, right? 5 times in the last 5 seasons, they've given up 20 points per game. So, look, unless this team gets absolutely throttled by a TCU offense that I haven't really seen. And then you have to kind of wonder about Cam Cook. We'll see. Hamstring issues. Like, there's a lot of question marks surrounding this team. I'm going to say this. Stanford plays to the under. If you think Stanford covers, it's probably going to go under the total. If you think it is somehow going to be an offensive firework performance by the Frogs and they're going to throttle Stanford, then bet the over.
Gotcha. Moving on. Look, I was going to wait till the end because this is the best game. I think it's probably the best game of the weekend, or at least one of them. Penn State going to West Virginia. But it's early, so we'll talk about it now. A lot of West Virginia love over the last 3 or 4 days. There's been a ton of West Virginia love. I'm not a big James Franklin guy. I've never been a big James Franklin guy. I like West Virginia to win this one outright, Kelly. I really, really do.
So, Brien, each week, for your listeners that don't know, I give out a 3-team money line underdog parlay. Those are the 3 dogs I like most to cover with the potential to win outright. And I fought myself on this West Virginia team. I was like, don't you do it. We know what James Franklin does. If they're up 7, he's going to punch it in on you or kick a meaningless field goal to cover. And then I started looking at this kind of a little bit more. You have to take into some other outside factors. And this is the problem with traditional handicapping. You cannot quantify Pat McAfee there on College Game Day. You just can't. This is a huge game for a West Virginia team that is 19-1. They have lost 1 game in their last 20 home openers. This is the biggest one of those 20. They've got College Game Day there. They've got their probably biggest star that's ever went to West Virginia. I could be wrong about that. There might be somebody more famous. My only hope is that Neil Brown has kind of figured out some of these bonehead mistakes we've seen him make in the past, right? We'll think Drew Aller way down on the Heisman list once again. We'll see what he can do. I'd like to think West Virginia is able to at least keep up with Penn State. I don't think it's going to be a track meet. I could absolutely see this being like a 24-21 final. Hopefully West Virginia gets it done for us.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm all in on this West Virginia. Not necessarily all in on them for the season, but I am on this game. Like I said, I'm just not a James Franklin type of guy. I'm just out on James Franklin. Moving on here. Look, I don't think we need to cover every single game because some of these are just way out there. But one of them that I liked is this Houston game. You know, it's a closer game, -2.5. I like Houston, UNLV. Actually, I picked UNLV to win the game, and I kind of think UNLV wins outright. And I feel bad because I'm a big Willie Fritz fan, but first game Jenner's new program. I don't know, man. It's tough, but -2. I like UNLV on the road.
Yeah, everybody likes UNLV here. I don't blame them. UNLV, man, I still have a close ear to the ground there in Las Vegas. And boy, I lived there for 15 years. I've been gone for 3. I cannot tell you the last time people were this excited. It was probably the 90s basketball with Jerry Tarkanian. That was probably the last time they were excited about UNLV. I usually like to fade teams that are getting a little overhyped to start the season. Everybody's projecting Houston to finish last or damn near close in the Big 12. This is a winnable game at home.
Yes.
Barry Odom against the Big 12, 1-4 straight up and against the spread. He has not had a lot of success. Now, Houston opened 3 in this one, so lots of money's coming in on UNLV. I'm going to hang back. I think we might see Houston -1. Maybe we can get Houston -115 on the money line. I think Houston can get this win over a really scrappy UNLV team who is on the up and up, but they're stepping up big time in class here.
Absolutely. Last one that we'll do here, and then we'll get you out of here, Kelly. Arizona State, -7 at home, Wyoming. Look, Wyoming, I don't want to say they wrecked Texas Tech season last year, but they wrecked Texas Tech season last year. I mean, they did. They're going on the road. This game's not in Laramie, so this one they're going on the road. But do we really believe that much in Arizona State and how good they are? I think I like Wyoming in this one. -7. I think they just win it outright.
Yep. I only got 6.5. I bet this one earlier in the week. I thought we were going to see money come my way. I was surprised.
Right.
A very sharp group did play the 6.5, which moved it to 7. I got that intel from the Superbook sports book director, my good friend John Murray out there in Las Vegas. And I said, I'm not worried about it. And he said, really? And I said, look, I'd love to have a 7 in pocket. But you have a Sun Devils team who's laying a touchdown at home. Last 15 times they were home favorites. 5-10 against the spread. And oh, by the way, they have not covered in 6 seasons against the Mountain West. I know they have a new head coach, second-year head coach in Dillingham, and I'm sure that he's going to improve this team. But again, now we're asking a Pac-12 team to step up in class to the Big 12, and I think that they are going to be in for a rude awakening. Yeah. And who do they have on deck? Now, albeit it's Mississippi State, but it's still an SEC team. Yep. People overlook these little Mountain West teams like Wyoming that have a ton of local kids, that have a bunch of transfers, that have a new head coach, which, by the way, is the former defensive coordinator, and he returns 13 starters. I will say this. If Harrison Whaley was a go, I would have absolutely smashed this line. But I will also say this on the other hand. Running backs don't matter. Look at K-State. We got 3 plug-and-play running backs, and one of them is our quarterback. That's a joke for KU fans that are listening. All jokes aside, I do think that Wyoming can get this win on the road here. Transfer quarterback from Michigan State. I'm just not loving this Sun Devils team. I think that they could really falter here at home. Almost a touchdown. Got to take the points, and I definitely think it's worth a money line sprinkle. This also made my 3-team underdog parlay.
Gotcha. Well, Kelly, number one, thank you for taking the time to come on and give us, all your wisdom and what's going on in the betting world. First, tell everybody before you get out of here where they can find you, what's going on with you, and all this kind of stuff so people can come and join what you have going on.
Oh, Brien, I'm all over the place. Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can find me at Kelly in Vegas, and you can see almost all of my stuff there. I try to post at least my biggest bets, my best bets, stuff like that. You can catch me over on Wager Talk. We have a betting show called Bet On It that comes out Wednesday nights. I'm running a ton of contests this year that signups in tomorrow morning at noon on Splash Sports /Kelly in Vegas. So if you're in a college football contest, I've got 4 of them up with a myriad of different price points for this fall. And of course, you can always find me here.
Absolutely. Well, Kelly, again, thank you for taking the time and joining us today. And thank everybody for watching. This is Big 12 Insiders. We will be back soon.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.